Hey, Ray Del Vecchio here from websiteprofitcourse.com. Today, I want to go through 3 examples of successful online personalities, people that make a ton of money online by doing things that they love. And let's jump right into the first example. This guy is one of my favorite podcasters. He's an ex-Navy SEAL. His name's Jocko Willink, and he runs a podcast which is aptly called Jocko Podcast. And right now, I'm on his YouTube page. You can see that he's got 1.17 million subscribers. At this point, he's been doing it for roughly 5 years now, I think. He's got 286 episodes up to date, and he runs a handful of other podcasts, so he actually has more than that if you take those into account. The overall theme from his podcast is lessons from war, how to apply them to life, to business, and how to become a better leader, both if you're leading other people or just leading yourself. So I got to say that his podcast has helped me more than probably any other that I listen to. And the common thread between all of these people is that not only do they have social outlets, whether it be YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, you need to have platforms that you own 100%. I've said this before. It was one of the things that stuck with me that I heard maybe 10 years ago. The only things that you own online are your website and your email list. So if we go over to his website, which is just jockopodcast.com, this is a blog that's built with WordPress. Even though there's probably 10 or 15 popular ways to create a website, the main ones being WordPress, Squarespace, Wix. I'm telling you that when I look at the technology behind the most successful bloggers, 90% or more use WordPress. And that's because it's so flexible. You can do so much with it. You don't have the limits compared to the other platforms, which kind of restrict you in multiple ways. So I'm going to discuss all the ways that Jocko makes money through his podcast and his online platform. The first is that when he came onto the scene, he actually was pretty much a nobody in the online space until he went on Tim Ferriss's podcast, which I know a lot of people that are in the startup world or that want to work for themselves have read Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek. Well, Jocko interviewed on that podcast, and that's how he really grew his following from the jump. The reason he was on Tim's podcast is because he was promoting his own book. So let me jump over to his Amazon page, and you can see the books that he's written. So we're over here, and you can see that ever since he published that first book, he's been on a streak of just pumping out these various books. The main one is Extreme Ownership. You can see it's got almost 19,000 reviews. Not only has he gained a lot of popularity through his podcast, but also through his books. And since then, he's published handbook-style books like the Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual. He's got Leadership Strategy and Tactics Field Manual. He came out to a follow-up with Extreme Ownership called The Dichotomy of Leadership, and he published these with his partner Leif Babin, who was another Navy SEAL. The other cool thing is, in addition to that, he's come out with a series of kids' books, The Way of the Warrior Kid. So he's got 3 kids' books. It looks like we might have even more here. I know, these are just other languages. Lately in the podcast, he's been promoting this, The Final Spin, which is almost like a novel. So he is an epic writer, an epic podcaster, and really an epic business guy, as you're going to see from the other various sources of income that he has. So early on in his podcast, he would make money through affiliate sponsorships. They would always promote his Amazon affiliate link. They would just tell you to go to his website and click on the Amazon affiliate link, do your shopping, and that was an easy way to support. Amazon affiliate is nothing more than signing up for an Amazon affiliate account, and you can link with your special code. And if anybody buys anything on Amazon within 24 hours of clicking through your affiliate link, you make a percentage of that. So a good example of how they do that on here is if you go to the Start Your Own Podcast page, all of these are Amazon affiliate links. So if you click through and buy this, or if you buy anything else after clicking through the Amazon link, they get a percentage of that. In addition to that, they were a sponsor with On It, which I believe is Joe Rogan's company. I think he's part owner of that company, and it was founded by another guy. They really just sell supplements, workout gear, that kind of stuff. So they would promote that, and he would have a special coupon code to link those sales back to his podcast. They got another website over here called jockostore.com. You can see how simplified all his naming is. They have hoodies, t-shirts, rash guards, a couple other things, headwear, accessories. Now, the difference between this website and the other one is that this one is built specifically for e-commerce, and this uses Shopify. Instead of integrating the shop page onto the main website, they just created a completely different website under a new domain and use Shopify. This is completely geared towards selling physical products. Now, these are not the only physical products that he gets into. If we go back over to Amazon here, and I just search for the entire store, he sells something that you might not attribute to a Navy SEAL, and that's white tea. So he's got his own line of pomegranate white tea. He actually discussed this on his first podcast with Tim Ferriss, that this is what he used to drink because he's not a coffee drinker, and he really didn't like pounding sugar. And you can see the other products here. He's got something called Jocko Discipline Go and Jocko Discipline, which is a supplement. So this brings us into his next business venture, which is he partnered with a company called Origin Maine. He had this guy, the owner of Origin Maine, on his podcast to talk about how they partnered up. And basically, they would make jiu-jitsu gis, which that's kind of just like the robe that people wear when they're practicing jiu-jitsu, which is a martial art. The story behind that is all of the jiu-jitsu gis were made overseas. They were buying all the stuff from China, materials, all that kind of thing. They were manufactured over there. So the owner of this company completely turned that around, decided to buy a loom, which is what you use to sew the gi together. He bought an old factory building, completely renovated the loom, which was like decades old. There was only a couple guys that had the experience to use it, and he decided to make all of his materials completely from the USA. Everything sourced from here, manufactured here, and they started with the jiu-jitsu gis. He ended up partnering with Jocko because Jocko had the outlet to promote the company. And they've since gone into supplements and other durable goods that they have mentioned here. You can see the supplements. They got pill form supplements, protein powder, along with the drink that we just saw, the Jocko Go, which is really just an energy drink that has no sugar. It's naturally sweetened with monk fruit. So his whole deal is promoting good health. So they do jeans, boots, and these are all premium goods. Down here you see that they run a jiu-jitsu immersion camp. But once again, we're not done here yet with Jocko. His primary company, which he was doing before he became an internet personality, is called Echelon Front. So this is the Echelon Front website, and this is business consulting. He's a leadership consultant. He works with businesses across the world. This is one-on-one consulting, but because he couldn't reach everybody with one-on-one consulting, he put on his own event called the Extreme Ownership Muster, which is really just an in-person event for people that want to get better at leadership, but maybe they don't have a big business or they don't have the funds to hire Echelon Front one-on-one. And then obviously during 2020, when everyone was working remotely, they turned Echelon Front into a virtual leadership consulting platform called EF Online. So this is a monthly membership where you can access the EF Online team. I think they do live Q&As 3 times a week. So he has really put his hand in so many different types of business, books, sponsorships, affiliate, physical products, in-person events, consulting. I think he's just maybe the best example I've ever seen of taking an online platform and expanding into every possible space that you can. And the way he's able to do this is because he has the discipline and the leadership skills from the military. But I think seeing what he's done has kind of pushed the boundaries and expanded my own thinking of what I could possibly do down the road. The same is true with you. When you find examples like this of people that are building their online business, you're going to see that, you're not trapped into doing things one way. You can get creative. You can use an online platform, and you don't have to rely on something as simple as like YouTube monetization or throw in cheap ads in your website, getting ad clicks, which you see with food blogs. So many bloggers don't make money because they are very passive in their strategy. And if you could be creative, there's a lot of ways to get around that. Our second example here is much simpler than the previous one. This is Brain Pickings, and this is a blog that's run by Maria Popova. I also found her through the Tim Ferriss podcast. I found her podcast really interesting. She's a really smart person. And her main thing is that she loves writing and writing about deep subjects, writing in depth every single day. And she is not that interested in the business side of her blog. She really just wants to make a living through it. Because of that, her main source of income is through donations. And I don't necessarily recommend that you do the donation model unless you are doing work that has massive reach, because most people are not going to donate and you're not going to make a lot of money through donations. If you look at her Facebook profile, which if I scroll down, I think she's got a link on the sidebar here, she has almost 5 million people that follow the page. So this is why she can survive using the donation model. The reason she has that kind of following is because her writing is that good. if I scroll all the way down to the bottom here, you'll see that she has 1,400 pages of blog posts. And I think one of her pin posts on the sidebar up here was what she learned by doing this blog, and it tells you how long she's been doing it for. I believe it's the top one here, the favorite read, so 14 years. She's been doing this for 14 years, probably going on 15 now. So she has a little blurb here about why you might want to donate. She spent hundreds of hours, I'd say at this point probably thousands of hours. It's free, it's ad-free. She has no staff, no interns, no assistant. Just a one-woman labor of love. So this is her livelihood, as she says in that little note there. And if you're wondering what this website is made from, if we look at the technology, it's WordPress. Once again, we have WordPress because that's what all successful blogs use. The other thing that she does here is reviews books. So she makes a little bit of money through Amazon affiliate. If I scroll all the way down to the bottom here, you'll see she has a little disclaimer here that she participates in the Amazon Services Associates Program. So she links to any books that she reviews with her Amazon affiliate link. And how else does she get people back to the website? Through her newsletters. It looks like on that technology tab that I just had open, that hooks into MailChimp, and she uses MailChimp for her email list. What are the two things that you own online? What are your platforms that you have full control over? It's your website, your blog, and your email list. If you want to be successful online with a blog, you need to have a blog that you have full control over, which is why WordPress is the best, because it's decentralized, meaning that you can take your WordPress blog and move it from any host across the web, pick any web hosting company that you want, whether you want to start with a cheap one and affordable one to get going, or if you start to build up traffic like she has, you're going to want to move it to more advanced hosting, so you're on better technology and a better platform, so your blog runs fast and it doesn't get flooded with traffic and shut down because of that. The third example here is David Perell, and his primary focus, I would say, is writing online and sharing your thoughts. He's a huge advocate for that. I found him on Twitter. He seems to have a big following among tech people, startup people, because I follow most of those people on Twitter. And he kept getting retweeted. His tweets kept showing up on my homepage because they were liked or recommended by other people. So let's take a look at what his website is built on. Not surprisingly, we have WordPress. I'm almost positive that he started on Squarespace when I first started following him, maybe like a year or a year and a half ago. And since then, he's migrated over to WordPress. And why? It's because WordPress gives you the most flexibility and the most power with a blogging platform. He also has a podcast, but I'm pretty sure that his main traffic source to his blog is his Twitter account, which at this point he's got over 200,000 followers. And you might be wondering, how does he make money? He has an online course called Rite of Passage. So if we click on that, he's got a page on his main website, which is Perell.com. And this is kind of like the sales page for this course. If you click on one of these links, you'll go over to his Rite of Passage website, which is riteofpassage.school. He's got a different domain, which this is on. So this is a completely different website than his main one. What's it built on? WordPress with WooCommerce. So he does the sale through WooCommerce, which is an e-commerce plugin for WordPress. And you might be wondering, what is the standard price of a course? If you go on sites like Udemy, you might think it's like $10 or $15. I have an online course for teaching people how to make money with web design if you have WordPress skills. I've had a lot of people tell me that my course is too expensive. And I always say that that is completely subjective, because if you use it and you get value out of it, it's not expensive at all. His course is way more expensive than mine. If we go down here, the plans and the pricing, he actually does live cohorts. So he shuts it down once he fills up a cohort, which is just a group of people that do this program together. He does live sessions. So that live element is allowing him to charge more. But you can see his prices here. It's between $4,000 and $6,000 for the course. So I think these three examples should really give you ideas for how you can build your blog, the ways that you can make money from a blog, and the various price ranges that you can think about if you're selling your own products, whether they're digital or physical. There's so many different ways that you can do it nowadays. And if we learned anything today, it's that the best platform that you can build your website on or your blog on is WordPress. Now, as somebody who's been using WordPress for over a decade, I really do want to target the beginners. I'm not necessarily the expert in writing, even though I have published lots of content, which has led me to build up a following on YouTube, through my website, and also my email list. I want you to do the same thing, and I put together a course for how you can launch a WordPress blog in 14 days. It goes step by step, and each day is roughly 20 to 30 minutes worth of work. I didn't want to overload you or need you to focus an entire weekend, block out 8 hours and 2 days to do this. And I think by doing it in chunks and spending a little time each day, you're going to build the habit of using WordPress, and it becomes much easier than if you're new to it. You spend a few hours in it and then you don't touch it for a couple of weeks. That's really what holds people up, because they get really excited and motivated. They spend a ton of time, but then they just forget about it. Life gets in the way. They don't really dedicate time to it like they should, and they lose focus, and the blog never becomes a reality. So I wanted to break down all those barriers that hold people up, and the biggest one being design. I can't say this enough, that if you're a beginner, your blog is about the content. It's about your writing. It's about your voice. Don't spend weeks or months trying to perfect your design when you have no skills with web design and you haven't written a single blog post. So by the end of this 14 days, the goal is to have written your first blog post, to be able to share that with your friends and your family, and also to have a schedule where you stay consistent by making it a habit. Because as we saw with Maria Popova and Brain Pickings, she's been doing it for 14 years now, and if you expect to succeed and make your first dollar within a month or two, you have bad expectations. And I know a lot of online personalities push that on you, that you can make your first dollar, or even worse, you can make your first $1,000 in 30 days. But that's just not possible for most people, especially if you are busy and you can only dedicate 10 or 15 minutes a day to it. But if you don't give up, you have persistence, there's no better time than now and to publish your passions online, build a following, and make a side income that can eventually turn into a full-time income. So sign up for that. Go to 14dayblog.com. I'll also include a link in the description below. And let's say you do have a blog out there, a WordPress blog, but you're just not sure how to operate WordPress. If you want more of a generic overview of how WordPress works, along with a tutorial of the back end, you can sign up for that free WordPress 101 training. Go to websiteprofitcourse.com/WP101. That'll also be in the description below, along with a handful of other helpful links. Last but not least, give this video a thumbs up if it gave you ideas for how you can start your blog and make money in the online world. If you got any examples of bloggers that you follow, leave it in the comments below. I love searching out new people, seeing how they grew their blog, what their website looks like, what they sell, which social network aligns best with their niche or their passion. And please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos on WordPress, freelancing, and how to make money from home. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this entire video, and I hope you join me on the next one.